Welcome to the LocalGov Drupal gov.uk Design System Integration Project. If you're building digital services for UK local government, you know the challenge. Implementing gov.uk design system components in Drupal is time-consuming, error-prone, and often inconsistent across projects. This project tries to solve that problem. Let me paint the picture of the traditional approach. When a developer needs to add a gov.uk component to their Drupal site, they typically, first, they visit the gov.uk design system documentation. Then they copy the HTML markup. They create a twig template manually. They copy and adapt the CSS. They handle the JavaScript, if the component needs it. They create fields in Drupal to hold the content. They wire everything together. And finally, they test and debug. For a simple component like a button, this might take an hour or two. For something complex like an accordion or task list with dynamic sections, 4 to 8 hours, maybe more. And here's the real problem. Every council, every project, every developer does this from scratch. There's no consistency, no shared code, no quality assurance. The gov.uk design system has 36 components. If each component takes an average of 6 hours to implement properly, that's 216 hours of development time per project. Multiply that across the hundreds of local councils in the UK, and we're talking about tens of thousands of developer hours spent recreating the same components over and over again. That's not just inefficient, it's wasteful. What this project delivers. This project changes everything. We've built a complete automation system that imports any gov.uk component in seconds, not hours, seconds. Click a button and you have a fully functional Drupal single directory component. Generates Drupal integrations automatically. Paragraph types, layout builder blocks, field mappings, templates, all generated for you. Maintains consistency. Every component uses the official gov.uk CSS classes, follows the design system patterns, and renders pixel-perfect output. Handles updates. When gov.uk releases a new version, you can check for updates, see what changed, and re-import with one click. Drush commands for automation, validation tools, customization protection. All 36 components, ready to use, right now. In this presentation, I'll show you live demos and deep dives. For live demos, you'll see the component catalog, where you browse, preview, and import paragraph integration for content editors, layout builder blocks for dynamic content, block content types for structural elements, and form components with full accessibility. Then we'll explore context providers for zero configuration components, theme integration patterns, how to customize and protect your changes, developer tools and technical architecture. Let's dive in. Let's start with the component catalog, your gateway to all 36 gov.uk design system components. The catalogue displays components in a grid layout. Each card shows the component name, a brief description, the current status, whether it's imported or not, and quick action buttons. You can see we have content components like panels, notification banners, and accordions, form components like checkboxes, radios, and date inputs, and system components like headers, footers, and skip links. Finding a specific component is easy with the search box. Let me type button, and you can see the list filters immediately to show the button component. Let me try notification. There's the notification banner. The search works on component names and descriptions, so you can search by what a component does, not just what it's called. The status filter lets you focus on what you need. Clicking Not Imported shows only components you haven't added to your site yet. This is useful when you're setting up a new project and want to see what's available. Clicking Imported shows components already in your theme. You might use this to check what's installed or to find a component you want to update. And All shows everything, which is the default view. Type filter components are categorized by type. Content components are for displaying information, things like panels, inset text, warning text, and notification banners. These are what content editors use most. Form components handle user input, buttons, checkboxes, radios, text inputs, date pickers, essential for any interactive service. System components are structural elements, headers, footers, breadcrumbs, skip links. These typically go in your theme's templates rather than content. The integration filter is powerful for managing your Drupal setup. Generated shows components where we've created paragraph types or layout builder blocks. Not generated shows components that are imported but don't yet have Drupal integrations. This helps you track which components are ready for content editors to use versus which are just available as Twig includes for developers. At the top of the catalogue, you'll see server status indicators. The green indicator shows the template converter server is running. This is the service that fetches components from gov.uk and converts them to Drupal format. If there's a problem, maybe the server isn't running, you'll see a red indicator with helpful troubleshooting information. The version shown tells you which gov.uk front-end version we're using for conversions. If you want a certain version to persist, you can enter this in the .m file. Now let's import a component live. I'll click on the Inset Text component card. This opens the detail page, but I can also import directly from the catalogue using the Import button. Let me click Import. You can see the progress indicator. The system is fetching the component from gov.uk frontend, converting the Nunjux template to Twig, compiling the SCSS to CSS, validating the output, saving to the theme directory, and done! The component is now imported. That entire process, which would take hours manually, completed in just a few seconds. Let me import one more to show it's consistent. I'll do warning text. Same process, same speed. Component imported and ready to use. The catalogue is your central hub for managing gov.uk components. Browse, search, filter, and import, all from one interface. Let's explore what you see when you click on a component in the catalogue. I'll click on the accordion component. This is one of the more complex components with interactive JavaScript. This takes us to the component detail page, where you can see everything about this component before and after importing. You can see a live rendering of the component using sample data. This shows exactly how it will look on your site, with proper gov.uk styling. For the accordion, you can see the sections are expandable. This isn't a screenshot or mock-up, this is the actual component running with real JavaScript. The interactivity works exactly as it will on your live site. The sample data is automatically generated to be realistic. For accordions, you get multiple sections with headings and content. For forms, you get proper labels and hint text. For tables, you get rows and columns of data. This preview helps you understand what the component does and verify it's working correctly before you use it in production. The File section shows you exactly what gets created when you import. There are tabs for each file type. Twig, the template file that renders the component. This is converted from gov.uk's Nunjux syntax to Drupal Twig. CSS, the compiled style sheet. Gov.uk uses SCSS, which we compile to plain CSS for Drupal compatibility. and the YAML tab, the component definition file that tells Drupal about the component's properties, their types, and default values. Let me click the Twig tab. You can see the template code with syntax highlighting. This is production-ready code, properly indented, well commented, using gov.uk's official class names. The CSS tab shows the compiled styles. Notice these use the gov.uk prefix, ensuring compatibility with the official gov.uk front-end style sheet. And the YAML tab shows the schema, what props this component accepts, their types, whether they're required, and what the defaults are. If the component is already imported, you'll see options to re-import or check for updates. The re-import option is useful if you've made changes and want to reset to the original, or if there's been an upstream update from gov.uk. The Generate Integration button is where the magic happens for content editors. Clicking this creates a paragraph type in Drupal with all the necessary fields, a template that maps those fields to the SDC component, field form displays for the admin interface. We'll cover this in detail in the next section, but I wanted to show you where to find it. The component detail page gives you complete visibility into what you're importing. Preview it, inspect the code, then import and generate integrations, all from one place. Next, let's see how those generated paragraph types work for content editors. Let me show you how to generate a paragraph type from an imported component. I'll go to the catalogue and find the notification banner component. It's already imported, so I'll click Generate Integration. The system now creates a paragraph type called Gov UK Notification Banner, fields for each component property, title, content, type, role, a template that maps those fields to the SDC component, form display configuration for the admin interface. This process takes just a few seconds. Let me navigate to Structure, Paragraph Types, and you can see the new gov.uk notification banner type is now listed. Clicking into it shows the auto-generated fields. We have a text field for the title, a rich text field for the HTML content, a select field for the banner type, default or success, fields for accessibility attributes, all created automatically, matching what the gov.uk component expects. The system also generates a Twig template. Let me show you in the Themes Templates folder. This template extracts values from the paragraph fields and passes them to the SDC component. It handles field value extraction, type conversion where needed, the include statement to render the component. Content editors never see this template, but it's what makes everything work behind the scenes. Adding a paragraph to a page. Now let's use this paragraph on an actual page. I'll go to Content and open our Pay Your Council Tax demo page. Clicking Edit, I scroll down to the Components field. Here's the form the editor sees. It's clean and intuitive. Title field with the default Important, a rich text editor for the banner content, a drop-down to select the banner type, optional fields collapsed by default. Let me fill this in. Title, Important. Content, you have 7 days left to complete your council tax registration. Type, I'll leave it as default. Now I'll save the paragraph and the page. Let's see how this renders on the front end. I'll view the page, and there's our notification banner, styled exactly like the gov.uk design system. Notice the blue border, the important heading, the proper typography. This is pixel-perfect gov.uk rendering. If I inspect the HTML, you can see the official gov.uk notification banner classes. This means the official gov.uk front-end CSS applies correctly. Let me change the type to success to show variant support. Save. And now we have a green success banner with the proper ARIA role for accessibility. Some components have interactive JavaScript. Let's verify that works. I'll open a page with an accordion paragraph. Here's one on the component showcase page. You can see the accordion renders with multiple sections. Let me click Section 1. The content expands smoothly. Click another section, it expands too. Click again, it collapses. This is the actual gov.uk JavaScript running, not a recreation, but the official code. It handles keyboard navigation with arrow keys, focus management for accessibility, proper ARIA attributes that update dynamically. This accessibility is built in because we're using the official gov.uk patterns. Content editors can add as many paragraphs as they need, mixing different component types. On this demo page, we have a panel at the top showing a confirmation, a notification banner with important information, inset text for supplementary details, a details component for expandable help, a warning for critical information, and a button to proceed. All of these are separate paragraphs, each rendering its gov.uk component. The content editor assembled this page without writing any HTML or twig. That's paragraph integration, the bridge between gov.uk components and Drupal's content editing experience. Import a component, generate the paragraph type, and content editors can start using it immediately. Next, we'll look at Layout Builder integration for even more dynamic content. Layout Builder is Drupal's powerful page building tool, and we've created special blocks that bring gov.uk components into this environment. These aren't just static blocks, they're dynamic blocks where editors can add, remove, and reorder items directly in the Layout Builder interface. Let's start with the accordion block. I'll open a page in Layout Builder and click Add Block. In the block list, you can see gov.uk accordion. Let me add it to this section. Here's the block configuration form. At the top, I can set the accordion's overall settings, like whether to show the Show All Sections button. Below that is where the magic happens, the Sections area. I can add multiple sections, each with its own heading and content. Let me add a first section. Heading, what you'll need. Content, you'll need your national insurance number and proof of address. Now I'll click Add another section. Heading, how to apply. Content, complete the online form, which takes about 15 minutes. And one more. Heading, what happens next? Content, we'll process your application within 10 working days. I can reorder these by dragging. I'll save and view the page. There's our accordion with 3 expandable sections. Each one works independently. Click to expand, click to collapse. The content editor built this entirely through the UI. No code, no templates, just filling in forms. The tabs block works similarly but creates tabbed content panels. Back in Layout Builder, I'll add a gov.uk tabs block. The configuration form lets me add multiple tabs. Each tab needs a label for the tab button, an ID for accessibility, and the content to show when selected. Let me create 3 tabs: Summary with overview information, Details with more in-depth content, Documents with a list of required documents. I can reorder tabs just like accordion sections. Saving and viewing, we have a tabbed interface. Click Details, the content switches. Click Documents, it switches again. Keyboard navigation works too. Arrow keys move between tabs, and the focus management is handled by gov.uk's JavaScript. The task list block is perfect for step-by-step processes. This is commonly used in gov.uk services to show users what they need to complete and their progress. Let me add a gov.uk task list block. Here I can add tasks with a title, a URL to link to, a status, not started, in progress or completed, and optional hint text. I'll create a sample application checklist. Check your eligibility, completed. Gather your documents, in progress. Fill in the application, not started. Submit and pay, not started. Each task shows its status with the official gov.uk styling. Blue tags for completed, grey for not started. Viewing on the front end, users can see exactly where they are in the process. Clicking a task title takes them to that step. This pattern is used across gov.uk services, and now your content editors can create it without developer involvement. While editing in Layout Builder, you see a live preview of your components. This is particularly useful for gov.uk components because you can verify the styling is correct before publishing. The accordion sections are clickable even in preview mode. You can test the interaction right here in the editor. All the blocks render exactly as expected. Accordion with expandable sections, tabs with switchable panels, task list with status indicators. The gov.uk JavaScript is active, the styling is pixel perfect, and everything is accessible. Content editors built this entire page layout using only Layout Builder's drag and drop interface. Closing Layout Builder blocks bring the power of gov.uk components to Drupal's visual page builder. Dynamic content, sections, tabs, tasks, managed entirely through the UI. Next, we'll look at block content types for structural elements like breadcrumbs and pagination. Some gov.uk components are structural. They appear in specific regions of every page rather than in the main content area. For these, we generate block content types instead of paragraphs. This lets site builders place them in theme regions using Drupal's block system. The breadcrumbs component shows users where they are in the site hierarchy. I'll go to Structure, Block Layout, and you can see the breadcrumbs region. Here we've placed a gov.uk breadcrumbs block. The block configuration lets you set breadcrumb items manually or use automatic generation from the site's menu structure. For most sites, automatic breadcrumbs work well. The block reads the current page's position in the menu and builds the trail. On the front end, you can see breadcrumbs appearing on every page: home, then the parent sections, then the current page title. This follows the gov.uk pattern exactly: minimal, accessible, and consistent. The backlink is a simple but important navigation element. It appears at the top of pages to let users return to the previous step in a journey. The gov.uk backlink block can be configured to use the browser's back action, link to a specific URL, or automatically detect the referring page. This is especially useful in multi-step forms where users need to go back and change their answers. The phase banner tells users when a service is in alpha or beta testing. Let me show you this block in the header region. Configuration is straightforward. Select the phase, alpha, beta, or a custom tag. Add the feedback link URL. Customize the message text. On the front end, you see the coloured tag and the "This is a new service" message with a feedback link. This is required for gov.uk services and testing phases, and now site builders can add it without any code. For content that spans multiple pages, the pagination block provides gov.uk styled navigation. This block supports previous and next links with labels, optional page numbers, accessibility features like landmark labels. You'd typically use this for search results, article listings, or any paginated content. The styling matches gov.uk exactly. Large click targets, clear labels, proper keyboard navigation. Placing blocks in regions. All these blocks are placed through Drupal's standard block layout interface. Navigate to Structure, Block Layout, and you see your theme's regions. Drag blocks to the appropriate region. Breadcrumbs in the breadcrumb region. Phase banner in the header. Backlink in the content top area. You can also configure visibility rules. Show only on certain content types, paths, or for certain roles. Content types handle structural gov.uk components that belong in theme regions. Combined with paragraphs and layout builder blocks, you have complete coverage of the design system. Context providers are one of the more advanced features of this system, but they solve a real problem. How do you populate components with dynamic data without requiring editors to enter it manually? For example, breadcrumbs should be generated automatically from the site structure. Editors shouldn't have to type them out for every page. The problem they solve. Consider the skip link component. It needs to say skip to main content and link to the main content area. But the page title varies. It might be pay your council tax or report a problem. Without context providers, an editor would need to configure this for every single page. That's tedious and error prone. Context providers inject this data automatically. The component gets the current page title, the correct link target, and any other dynamic values it needs, with zero manual configuration. The root context provider supplies data about the current page. It provides breadcrumbs, the full navigation trail from home to current page title, the current page's title, current path, the URL path. Let me show you how this works in a component definition. In the breadcrumbs component YAML, you'll see a context mapping section. This tells Drupal, when rendering this component, get the breadcrumbs data from the root context provider. The component receives proper breadcrumb data automatically. No editor input required. This is how the breadcrumbs block can show accurate navigation on every page without any configuration. The menu context provider handles navigation menus. It provides main navigation, items from your main menu, footer navigation, footer menu links, service navigation, service-specific nav items. Components like header and footer can pull menu data directly, keeping navigation in sync with your Drupal menu structure. When you add or remove menu items in Drupal, the components update automatically. The Site Context Provider gives access to site-wide information. Site name, your site's configured name. Site slogan, the site slogan. Site logo, path to the logo image. Metadata, other site configuration. The header component, for example, can display the site name and logo without any manual configuration. Change your site name in Drupal's configuration and the header updates everywhere. The result is what I call zero config components. Place a breadcrumbs block and it just works. Put a skip link in your template and it knows the page title. Add a header and it pulls the site name and navigation. Editors don't need to configure these components. Developers don't need to write custom code to pass data. The context providers handle everything. This dramatically reduces the setup required for a new site while ensuring consistency across all pages. Viewing context mapping. You can see context mappings in any component's YAML file. Look for the context mapping section. It shows which providers the component uses and what data it receives. This is also documented in each component's detail page in the catalogue. Sometimes you need gov.uk components in places where paragraphs or blocks don't fit, directly in your theme templates. This section shows how developers can use SDC components anywhere in their Drupal theme. The include syntax, using a gov.uk component in any Twig template, is straightforward. The first parameter is the component name with the theme namespace. The second is an object of props, the data the component needs. This works in any Twig template, page templates, node templates, block templates, even views templates. A common use case is overriding Drupal's breadcrumb template. By default, Drupal outputs breadcrumbs with its own markup. We want gov.uk styling instead. In the Themes Templates folder, create breadcrumb.html.twig. The code transforms Drupal's breadcrumb data into the format gov.uk expects, then includes the breadcrumbs component. Now every breadcrumb on your site uses the gov.uk component automatically. The skip link should appear at the very top of every page, before any other content. In html.html.twig, add the include near the opening body tag. This ensures screen reader users and keyboard navigators can bypass navigation and jump straight to content. The skip link becomes visible when focused, following the gov.uk pattern. You can pass any Twig variable or expression to component props. For example, passing the current node's title. This lets you build dynamic pages that combine Drupal's content with gov.uk's presentation. Theme integration gives developers full control over where and how gov.uk components appear. Use the include syntax in any template, pass your data, and get consistent gov.uk styling throughout your site. What happens when you need to modify a gov.uk component? Perhaps you need custom styling, additional markup, or behavior changes specific to your council's requirements. This system handles customization gracefully, protecting your changes while still allowing updates. When you import a component, you get the official gov.uk templates, CSS, and JavaScript. But real projects often need modifications. Custom color schemes beyond gov.uk defaults, additional wrapper markup for your layout system, integration with council-specific JavaScript, accessibility enhancements for your user base. If you edit an imported component and then re-import, your changes could be lost. This system solves that problem with checksum protection. Every imported component can have a checksum, a fingerprint of the original files. Run this command to add checksums to your components. This records the state of each component when imported. Now, if you modify a component and later try to re-import, the system compares checksums. If they don't match, it warns you. This component has been customized. Re-importing will overwrite your changes. You can then decide whether to proceed or keep your customizations. Let me demonstrate customizing the button component. First, I'll import the button. Now, I'll add the checksum to protect it. The component files are in my theme's components directory. I'll open the button template and add a custom wrapper div. After saving, the component's checksum no longer matches the original. Now if I try to re-import the button from the catalog, watch what happens. The system detects the modification and shows a warning. This component has local modifications. I can see exactly which files changed, in this case, the twig template. If I proceed anyway, my customizations will be lost. If I cancel, my changes are preserved. This gives developers confidence to customize components without fear of accidental data loss. Components with modifications display a customized badge. Hovering shows which files differ from the original. You can also check from the command line. This reports whether the component matches its original checksum or has been modified. Recommended customization patterns. For sustainable customization, consider these patterns. Override, don't edit. Instead of modifying the imported component directly, create a template override in your theme that includes the original component with modifications around it. Use CSS overrides. Add custom styles in your theme's CSS rather than editing the component's CSS directly. This keeps updates clean. Document your changes. If you must edit a component directly, document what you changed and why. When gov.uk releases updates, you'll know what to merge. Checking for updates. Even with customizations, you can still check if gov.uk has released newer versions. This shows which components have upstream updates available, for a detailed diff of what changed. This helps you decide whether the update is worth applying or whether your customizations should take precedence. Component customization is a first-class feature of this system. Checksum protection prevents accidental overwrites. Status indicators show what's been modified, and developer tools help you track upstream updates. Customize with confidence. Your changes are protected. For those interested in how this system works under the hood, here's a quick technical overview. AST parser. The heart of the system is our abstract syntax tree parser. Gov.uk templates are written in Nunjux, a JavaScript templating language. Drupal uses Twig, a PHP templating language. Our parser converts Nunjux to Twig with 100% success rate across all 36 components. It's not string replacement, it's a proper AST transformation that understands the template structure. This means complex logic, macros, and includes all convert correctly. Asset compilation. Gov.uk uses SCSS for styles. Drupal needs plain CSS. The template converter compiles SCSS to CSS automatically, handling Gov.uk's variable system and mixins. JavaScript is also processed. We sanitize dangerous patterns like eval and inner HTML while preserving functionality. Caching system. Performance is handled by a 4-layer LRU cache. GitHub API responses are cached to avoid rate limits. Converted templates are cached for instant reuse. Compiled CSS is cached separately. Component metadata is cached for fast catalog loading. WebSocket invalidation on port 3003 allows real-time cache updates when needed. Resilience. The system includes circuit breakers that back off if external services fail, rate limiting to prevent overwhelming APIs, automatic retry with exponential backoff, health endpoints for monitoring. This makes the system reliable even under heavy load or network issues. Security. All components are validated for content security policy compliance, scanned for dangerous JavaScript patterns, cached with SHA-256 integrity checks, protected from concurrent import corruption via file locking. You can trust that imported components are safe to deploy. The technical foundation is solid. Proper parsing, smart caching, resilient architecture, and security throughout. Gov.uk design system includes a comprehensive set of form components. While Drupal's form API typically handles forms, there are cases where you want Gov.uk styled form elements in content for design mockups, documentation, or static examples. The paragraph integrations make this possible. Let me show the checkboxes component. After generating the paragraph type, editors can add checkbox groups to any page. The form lets you set the field set legend, add hint text explaining the options, create individual checkbox items with labels, configure which items are pre-checked. Let me add one. Legend. Which types of waste can you recycle? Hint. Select all that apply. Items. Paper, glass, plastic, metal. On the front end, you get a proper gov.uk checkbox group with the correct styling, spacing, and focus states. Each checkbox is individually accessible, proper labels, keyboard support, and ARIA attributes. Radio buttons work similarly, but for single-choice questions. Legend. How would you like to be contacted? Hint. We'll only use this for important updates. Items. Email, phone, text message, post. Radio buttons include support for conditional reveal, showing extra content when an option is selected, dividers, like OR between options, small variants for compact layouts. The gov.uk pattern ensures radio buttons are large enough to click easily on mobile, with clear visual feedback when selected. Select paragraph. The Select component creates drop-down menus. Configuration includes a label, hint text, the list of options with values and display text, an optional default selection. This is useful for long lists of choices where checkboxes or radios would take too much space. The styling matches gov.uk exactly. The drop-down arrow, focus ring, and error states all work correctly. Date input paragraph. Date input is 3 separate fields, day, month, and year, rather than a date picker. This is the gov.uk recommendation because date pickers are often inaccessible and confusing for users. The date input paragraph lets editors set a label like date of birth, add hint text like, for example, 31/3/1980. Configure which fields to show. You might omit the year for recurring dates. On the front end, the 3 fields are properly grouped and labelled. Screen readers announce them as a single date question. Character count demo. The character count component shows users how much they can type. It displays, you have X characters remaining, and updates live as users type. When they approach the limit, the message turns bold. When they exceed it, it turns red. This JavaScript functionality works out of the box. No configuration needed beyond setting the maximum characters. Error states demo. Let me show you how gov.uk error styling works. When a form field has a validation error, the gov.uk design system shows a red border on the left of the field group, a red error message above the input. The field itself gets a red border. See the error summary at the top. It lists all errors with links that jump directly to each problem field. Click the link, and focus moves to that field. This error pattern is critical for accessibility. Screen reader users hear the error summary first, then can navigate to fix each issue. The styling and behavior all comes from the gov.uk components automatically. Form components bring gov.uk input patterns to your content. Whether for design examples or static forms, editors can create accessible, well-styled form elements with proper error handling, all without code. Let's finish with a quick tour of all 36 gov.uk design system components available in this system. I'll show each component's preview so you can see the full range of what's available. Content components. First, the content components. These are what editors use most. Accordion. Expandable sections for organizing long content. Click to expand, click to collapse. Details. A simpler single section expander for progressive disclosure. Inset text. Bordered text that stands out from surrounding content, perfect for quotes or callouts. Notification banner. Important messages at the top of pages, default blue or success green variants. Panel. Large confirmation panels, typically used after form submission. Application complete style. Summary list. Key value pairs in a structured list, great for check your answers pages. Table. Data tables with proper headers and caption support. Tabs. Tabbed content for switching between related views. Tag. Status indicators like completed, in progress, not started. Task list. Multi-step process tracking showing what users need to complete. Warning text. Strong warnings with the exclamation icon. You could be fined up to £1,000. Form components. Form components for user input. Button. Primary, secondary, warning and start button variants. Character count. Text areas with live character counting. Checkboxes. Multi-select with proper grouping and conditional reveal. Date input. Day, month, year fields for accessible date entry. Error message and error summary. Validation feedback patterns. Field set. Grouping form elements with legends. File upload. File input with gov.uk styling. Hint and label. Form field supporting components. Input. Single line text fields with wood variants. Password input. Password field with show hide toggle. Radios. Single select with dividers and conditional reveal. Select. Drop-down menus. Text area. Multi-line text input. System components. Structural components for site-wide elements. Backlink. Back navigation for multi-step journeys. Breadcrumbs. Navigation trail showing page hierarchy. Cookie banner. GDPR compliant cookie consent. Exit this page. Emergency exit button for sensitive services. Footer. Page footer with navigation and legal links. Header. Site header with logo, navigation and search. Pagination. Previous next navigation for multi-page content. Phase banner. Alpha/beta service indicators. Service navigation. Service-specific navigation patterns. Skip link. Accessibility feature for keyboard users. 36 components covering every pattern in the gov.uk design system. All available in your Drupal site, ready to use through paragraphs, layout builder, blocks, or direct template includes. Thank you for watching.